Hey folks, I'm Jim Joyner, and today we're going to be talking about when God says no. Last week, I prefaced the subject that we were going to be looking at for the next couple weeks, and it deals with those times that God answers our requests with no. And I think that it is an important subject to talk about in our truth videos because we don't often hear the fact that God at times does answer our prayer with the answer no. In fact, most of the time what you will see in a church are prayer requests made and then praises offered up. And the praises are always when God answered yes. I've never been a part of a church or even in a church where I've heard prayer requests made and then praises offered up of when God said no to removing the cancer, or no to someone getting pregnant, or no to getting that job. And that becomes concerning to me because Paul clearly says that we are to give thanks or praise in every circumstance, including those times that God says no. In fact, Paul will also say that he rejoices in his sufferings. That's interesting to me because I believe that Paul was human being just like us, and that when difficulties came and when struggles and hardships began to kind of pound him, he had to have asked God to stop it or to remove it, and yet there must have been times that God said no, and Paul said, I still rejoice in the sufferings and the hardships that I experience because of Christ. Now, last week I asked you to do a little homework for me. I asked you to kind of do a little research and find some of the times that God told no to someone's requests in the scriptures. I did the same thing. I went to 2 or 3 individuals that I really respect, and we found a number of times that happened. God told David no when it came to building the temple. He told Moses no when it came to going into the promised land. He even told his own son Jesus no when Jesus in the garden asked God to remove the cup, which was the crucifixion. The question becomes is, why does God say no? And that's what we're going to talk about over the next couple weeks. Let's talk about one of those reasons that God says no today. Let's use probably the most popular and well-known example of when God said no to someone, and that's Paul. In 2 Corinthians, Paul tells us that on 3 times, and I don't think that means 3 days, but 3 seasons of prayer, I think, that Paul prayed 3 times that God would remove a thorn from his side. Now, he doesn't tell us what that thorn is, but evidently it was something that Paul really wanted removed because he said that he pleaded with God about it, and yet God said no. Paul tells us that one of the reasons that God said no was that it would keep Paul from boasting. See, I think sometimes God tells us no because we need to be reminded as who's in control. A lot of times when we get everything we want, we begin to think more of ourselves than we should. We begin to think we deserve these things. We think that we've earned these things. And we need to be reminded at times that we are under the authority of God. And I think sometimes when God says no to our requests, He's reminding us of that He is the one that is sovereign and in control. But there's another reason mentioned in that scripture as to why God said no to Paul. In that passage, God says, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in your weakness. I think what God was saying is that, Paul, by me saying no to this request, your testimony and your witness becomes greater. Let me explain. See, I think we're convinced that the best way to win someone to the Lord is to tell them that not only do they receive eternal life, but all the other good things they receive. Abundant joy, eternal peace, fulfillment, contentment. And these are things that God has promised to us if we have a relationship with Him. But sometimes what people need, more than knowing what they're going to get if they have a relationship with Christ, is that they need to know that there is something they can hold on to when tough times come. They understand that life is going to be hard at times, and they need something that they can embrace continuously. And when they see you loving God and trusting God and embracing God, even though He doesn't remove the cancer, even though you can't get pregnant, even though you don't get that job, all of a sudden, your witness and your testimony about God is at one of its greatest heights. That's why Paul would say later on, to be prepared to give an answer for anyone that asks for the hope that you have. See, Paul's saying that people will see that hope in your life. How do they see it? They see it when God says no, and you still trust Him with everything within you. I think sometimes God tells us no so that we can be a much more effective witness for Him. And I think that that is a powerful, powerful reason to praise God, to thank God when He says no at times. Now next week, we'll look at a couple more reasons I think that God says no. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope that next week you will join us for our truth video. Thank you.